Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another time out here. Sorry, I'm starting 5 minutes late. Just my humanness, right? And yeah. So we're gonna kick this on right now. Back, welcome back to our book club, and we're starting reading through our book, Cleopatra's Riches by Martha Adams. So that's what we've been on. And today we'll be going on to read chapter 9 of the book. Uh, hey, Chidi, how you doing? Chidi, how you doing?
Right.
Good, good. Great to have you here. So I'm just going to bring up the slides and we'll shoot. Good to have you. Let me bring up the slides here. All right. Can you see my slides? You can see the slides, right? All right. So we're back still studying, reading through our book, Cleopatra's Riches. We're here going to look at chapter 9 today. And pretty much chapter 9 is, well, let me go here, do that. There's a link to Martha Adams' website. If you're interested in getting more materials from her, optimizing the opportunity of our time with her, reading through her book. That's a website that can help. So like I said, we're on to chapter 9 today, and we're pretty much going to look at society like we typically do. The next 3 weeks, we're going to look at society. Today, we're doing an introduction to society, how it affects us financially, right? We're going to look at next week, we'll look at how it affects us from our earning standpoint. The following week, we'll look at how it affects us from a growing money standpoint. And the third week or fourth week, we're looking at how it affects us from enjoying money standpoint. So today is going to be an introduction to how society as a whole affects our journey in financial empowerment. How it either enhances or limits us, and how we can overcome the limitations and build on the enhancement so that we can achieve our intent, our purpose in trying to grow money and have be financially empowered. Hey, Ann, you're welcome. Good to have you.
Good morning.
Morning. Bless you. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, how's the whole family doing?
Oh, they're all doing well. Thank God.
Good. You're keeping cool, huh? With this high temperature. Hot temperature.
It's so hot. Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah. It's all good. Just enjoy every season. Make the best of it.
Right.
Yeah. Thank God for provision. We have AC.
Right.
I remember when I first started going to Houston, it used to be very hot. You jump from your house into the car, from the car to wherever you're going to. The in between, you keep it as brief as possible.
Right.
It was a strange. It was kind of not common. It was my introduction to Houston. I never had to do that here in Nigeria or in the UK. But AC just meant a lot. And unfortunately,
pay high bills.
Go ahead. You said
we'll pay high bills.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, there are people that don't have AC that end up dying. When
That's
temperatures go either very low or very high. They don't even have the AC to say they are paying bill on.
That's true.
The homeless. So, yeah, the homeless. Even some people that have home, but they can't afford AC.
They can't afford AC, yeah.
So all we can do is be grateful that at least we have AC. and we can pay the bill even though it's high.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I remember last year, February 15th, when the snowstorm passed through Houston, people
Yes,
died,
yes, yes.
uh, uh,
Even kids too.
yeah, yeah. And in high temperatures also over the years, people die
That's true.
because they don't have the means.
How
And
they mean?
some also because they are tied to their house, because they're typically provisions to go to central places, either to warm up or to cool down. They're advisable to go to town halls, libraries, some place where they can enjoy the communal, environmentally controlled places,
That's true.
and people refuse to go for different reasons. The man that died that I heard about in last year February was because he didn't want to leave his house. He was scared if he leaves his house, people will come and rob him. But he stayed back and froze to death.
Mm.
Well, thank God. We thank God for provision.
Thank God, yes.
So you're welcome. You're welcome. So we're on to chapter 9 today of the book, and we're on to talking about society. So we've pretty much gone to the journey of talking about family setting, talking about community. Today we're on to society. We're on to, and I didn't change the logo. That's apologies. It didn't occur to me. That's a different logo, which shows society as on the ladder. So I'll update that for next week. We're here looking at society as to how the society help us or hinder us, in our journey towards financial empowerment. That's what we're trying to look at. So today is going to be an introduction. Next week we'll look at how society affects our earning money. And the following week we'll look at how society affects our growing money. And the fourth week we'll look at how society affects our enjoying money. So today pretty much is just an introduction to society in the financial empowerment journey, And she starts each chapter with a quote. So the quote we have there, it says, "It is after becoming mature that any teaching succeeds," and that's so very true. There are different ways of looking at that. When you would not know whether you're a success or a failure as a parent until your child is released to the world. Right? I mean, you can give any excuse you want while your child is under you. But whether that child is able to face the world or not is your success or failure as a parent. Right? If that child is not able to face the world, you're irrespective of what you do. I mean, the word is irrespective of what you did. In a sense, you're a failure. Right? So it's not a matter of what you did or did not do. The intent of parenting is to prepare a child that can be mature, that can face the world. Now, what you did or did not do really does not matter. The result is whether that child can face the world or not. That's a corollary of that proverb. I mean, people give different excuses for failure in life, but those excuses don't hold water. You're either a failure or a success, right? And really, you're not a failure until you give up trying. And a lot of people have given up. They're giving up for different reasons, whether they feel they're now too old to try, or they're in the wrong place, or there's a cause, it's a family thing. And people have given up. And once you've given up, you're a failure, right? It doesn't really matter what you did or did not do. It's the result we're talking about. I mean, life looks at results. It doesn't really care about what you did. Though what you did to get there is a measure of who you are, right? Because if you do it the wrong way, then you're going to have a lot of things chasing after you, right? But at the end of the day, it's the result. Part of the result anyway is who you are as a person, right? Who you have grown to be as a person is part of the result, right? Any question for me before I go on to the next quote there? Is that clear enough? Should I go on? Andy, did you say anything?
No, go on.
Go on. All right, great. You know, and after looking at that, I just looked at this other corollary or similar proverb to that, you know, which I love and stayed with me for life, is when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When you're ready to learn anything, when your mind is ready to grow, to move to the next level of your life, God would send someone to help you, to teach you, to show you the ropes, right? And that person will be there to show you the ropes until when it's the appointed time for your test or for your graduation to the next level. Then that person will disappear because you are ready for graduation. You are ready to do it yourself. You are ready to go and test or try the thing that you are supposed to do. And we can bring that back again to parenting, right? The parents are there to raise that child through parenting, through coaching, right? There's a time when that child needs to face the world, right? When the child needs to face the world, the parents are not supposed to be there. And they cannot even be there, even though a lot of parents think they can be there, right? Because they've not done their job well, right? The parents should be aware, and that child should be able to stand on his or her own. Otherwise, the whole process is a failure. Again, is what Stephen Covey teaches us about the continuum of life, right? He talks about the continuum of life as we all come into life very dependent, right? And as we're from dependency, we grow into independency, where we can do things on our own. That's when we say we are 19, we are, young adults, we are now free, teen, all of that stuff. Then being independent will go into what we call interdependent. That even though I can do everything on my own, I realize that there's only so much I can do on my own. I need to probably join with someone else to be able to go further than I can go on my own, right? So from moving from dependent to independent, right, it's a normal process. But at the independent level, there's a choice to be made. And that choice is go to what we call interdependent. That even though I can do all things by myself, I realize to go to another level of performance, I need to join with either one or more people. Therefore, I choose to go into a relationship. I choose to submit myself to that relationship, whereby, or partnership or marriage, whereby then I go to another level of life. Some of that is represented by marriage. Some of that is just partnership and all of that stuff. But that's a continuum of life, right? Dependent, independent, interdependent, right? And not everybody goes through that. That's the normal process of maturity. But you find some people get into the place where interdependence is expected of them, but they're not independent, right? If you're not independent, you cannot successfully enter into an interdependent relationship, right? So that's why people go into a relationship and there's a kid in the relationship. There's a kid in the marriage, right? Someone is a parasite, right? Because when you go into an interdependent relationship, you should go into it as someone who is willing to contribute. You go into it for what you can contribute, not what you can get, right? Even though you're supposed to get something from it, because both or more parties should come in to contribute, right? But when you have someone that is not contributing, that just wants to get from every other person, a parasite, then there's a problem in that relationship, right? And it doesn't work effectively well. Chidi, any question for me? Any remark you want to say before I go on?
No, I'm just listening and enjoying the talk.
All right, great. All right, so that's pretty much it. So in our journey in talking about how all of this affects our relationship with money, we first of all started from the family sector, how being within our parents, our siblings, how that affects us. Our origin affects us, right? That's our immediate family, right? Then from that, we talk about how our community, people outside our immediate family, affects us, right? And you'll find that how the community affects us, either positive or negative, is built on the foundation of the relationship with your parents. If that relationship is strong, then you're able to get more from the community because you're able to then throw away the negatives and imbibe the positive. But if that relationship is weak, then you are more open to the negatives in the community because you don't have the strength to defend yourself from the negative in the community, right? And so the very core foundation is your parents, your origin, your immediate family. Upon that is built your relationship in your community where you grew up. Then upon this too is built then the society as a whole, right? Your ability to succeed in the society, in the bigger sphere of things, is built on the foundation with which you come into it from your immediate family and your community. If that foundation is strong, then you're set up for success. If it's weak, then you're set up for failure. Even though that is not the end of things, you can always rebuild yourself. You can also always recreate yourself. You need to change, right? So some people feel at that point and feel, oh, woe me, right? But until you say woe me and you choose not to recreate yourself, there's always opportunity for you to break through, right? So, hey, Toba, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
All right, great. We're on to chapter 9 today, looking at society. So when we talk about society, we're talking about the things that run, the rules, the regulations, the laws around that regulate our relationship as a society. Society then goes beyond your immediate community into your state, your nation, the rules of engagement, those will affect whether you are going to be able to easily make money or not, right? Generally speaking, it's easier to make money in a capitalist system than in anything less than a capitalist system. So that's why you see a lot of people migrate to the US. In the US, the way the financial environment is set up, right? It's set up to reward hard work, right? And it's set up to punish laziness, right? If you can get, there's no limit to how far you can get, how high you can get, and there's no limit to how low you can get, right? The system allows the two spectrums. I mean, you can easily become homeless and you not be able to be a beggar. You can also easily rise to the top, right? So the US, it's like your epitome of a place of the marketplace where the laws, the rules allow you to become whoever it is that you want to become. That's called the American dream, right? In some other places, there are limitations to that happening. However, there are still ways to overcome those limitations. It's not a hell spell. It's not a doom spell, right? Even though they might not necessarily be as perfect a marketplace as a capitalist system like the US, there are still ways around every system because the laws of success, the laws of prosperity are universal. They are not limited to the US, Nigeria. They are universal. So you can then align the laws of success, the laws of prosperity to fit the environment you find yourself, right? So pretty much today we're just going to look at, one of the key things when we talk about society, the laws and all of that is most places have what we call, everybody is divided into what we call a social economic class, right? from a finance standpoint, you know, you look at people are pretty much divided into social, economic class, right? Such division could be, it's mainly by how much money you had, really. It could also be by family, it could be by education, it could be like kind of job you do, or membership to any particular place. You know, in most places, you have about 3 to 6 classes. Typically, generally, you have pretty much have 3, but you see that those 3 have been broken down in different places just to differentiate some other people. In the UK, you actually have 7. You have 7 classes because the royal family stands alone as a class on its own. But in most places, you have 3 to 6 class of people in a social economic setting, right? Pretty much the easy 3 would be the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class, right? But that is rare. In most places, you have more than that. In the US, you have 5. In Nigeria, you have 6, right? So typically, you have what we call the upper class, you know, which are pretty much, they've blown themselves. They are rich, millionaires, billionaires, you know. So you also have what we call the upper middle class, right? People that are well educated, they're wealthy, right? Maybe they're not millionaires, but they're wealthy. They're able to afford everything that they need, right? You also have what you call the middle class, right? People that have just gone to school, they have white collar jobs, they don't have to rough it up, they go to offices, you know, they get a salary every month. There's what we call the lower middle class. This is absent in the US, in US classification, though you can still cut some people to fall into this class. You know, they are what we call the lower middle class in Nigeria. And number 5, you have what we call a working class, right? Which are not middle class. You know, they are clerical, they're people that carry files. Government workers will fall within this category. You know, it could also be blue collar jobs, you know, workers, you know, they are there in the field, you know, get some labor, maybe laborers or so. And finally, on the 6th category, we have what we call the lower class, which are people maybe unemployed, you know, beggars, or, you know, there's no job is assured, right? Any comment on this classification?
No.
No. All right.
So
You know,
which class are you in here?
me?
Like,
Good
how does
question.
Nigeria have 6 classes?
You said what? Say that again. And
How does Nigeria have 6 classes?
it's because we have what we call the lower middle class.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's because we have the lower middle class. You don't find that defined in the US. But no, my phone is ringing somewhere. But did you hear me, Han? I replied you. And
Yes,
you're
I
hearing me,
did.
right?
Yes,
You
I
heard
did.
me. All right, great.
Yes.
All right. So you have what you call the lower middle class in Nigeria. You don't. That's not defined in the US based on what is documented. But in Nigeria, you have people who are in the middle class, but cannot necessarily do everything the middle class is expected to do. They are limited. And that is a growing class with our government, exchange rate. It's all about what people can afford at the end of the day. You know, where they live, all
Right.
of that. Yeah. So Chidi was asking where I belong to in this class. Well, I'm educated. I'm a middle class. That's a given. I am not a lower middle class for sure. You know, so I'm in number 2. I'm trying to go to number 1, but I'm not yet in number 1. I'm in number 2 for sure. Chidi, am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right. I just wanted to confirm that.
You know, so, you know, these are classifications, you know, and it could be good, it could be bad. For some people, they just feel, oh, I'm poor. You know, some people feel that they cannot attain to 1, 2, 3, for whatever reason. You know, the classifications that is done is not done to limit people, but rather to cause people to seek to grow, right? But some people see it as, oh, I'm dumb. You know, some people feel that because you are not born into a Dangote family, a Dan Tata family, then you cannot be rich. I mean, those are limiting thoughts. Those are limiting mindsets, right? And that same thing we had in America, right? With the blacks, all of them, you know. And today, you still have it today. The other day, I was with my daughter. We went for dinner. At a Chinese restaurant, you know. And I was just talking to her about why she thinks some people are homeless. You know, people are stuck in some class because they are not willing to push. They feel condemned. It's a mindset thing. Money is a mindset. It's not how much money you have. It's just like I was chatting with one of my university classmates this morning. He was making some comments that have no basis to it. He was saying that whether you become rich or poor is a matter of what you make. You know, that's not true, right? It's not what you make that makes you rich or poor, right? It's what you do with what you make that makes you rich or poor, right? I mean, you can get any amount, get $1 billion a month. If you spend all the $1 billion a month, you're a poor person, right? It's what you do. It's first of all, you're not spending everything that you make, and what you do with what you keep. That is what makes you rich or poor, right? We have 2 athletes that recently became billionaires in the last 2 weeks, right? LeBron James and Tiger Woods, right? They make money, but it's not necessarily that they make more money than every other athlete. I mean, Tiger Woods has fallen from reckoning due to his incident and all of that stuff. So it's not the most paid, you know. But he invests his money such a way that the returns is what made him to qualify to become a billionaire this last week. 2 weeks ago, LeBron James also is not necessarily, he's not the most paid athlete, you know, but he's become a billionaire, right? There are just 3 of them, you know, that become billionaires as athletes, right? Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and now Tiger Woods. It's what you do with it. It's the investment that you go into. If you spend everything that you make, you're not going to move away, you know, from whichever category you find yourself. You know, it's all about having a financial plan. It's all about, you know, this morning also someone was asking me that how do you grow in life? You know, how do you become rich? And I said, hey, number one thing is you must have a dream. Have a dream. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Like we say, where do you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? When you die, what do you want to die as? Have a dream. Then have goals tied to your dream. Then begin to do something about it today. But nobody's going to become rich by accident. People become poor by accident, but nobody becomes rich by accident. You know, so this classification is not to limit anybody. It's just to say that you can aspire for more. I am at 2 today. I'm aspiring to be number 1, right? All my investments, all that I do is to become number 1. And I'm going to be number 1 before I die. Long before I die, sir. Long before I retire, I'll be number 1, right? That's my target. That's my goal, right? And it's possible, right? Any question?
Okay, so Uncle, I have a question. For me, I feel like, okay, like Nigeria, you said, just clarify, you said Nigeria, they have lower middle class and upper middle class, right? But what about those that, I feel like Nigeria is like a struggling society where everybody is struggling, right?
Everywhere, everybody's struggling in the US also. People struggle everywhere.
We're all struggling. Everybody, we're all struggling, right?
Yes.
But I don't like the basic necessity. I think that's the difference. Basic necessity due to our government is what Nigeria lacks.
Yes.
I think the basic necessity, you know, I think, and job. job. I mean, America, people are homeless, like you said, because I was just talking, in fact, my uncle and my husband and I were just discussing it yesterday about, this homeless people. It's like, why can anyone be homeless in America? You're right. Some people just, I work in the hospital, and some people just want to be homeless. They're like, no, they just want to be homeless.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a lot of opportunity, and people fall from grace. When people fall, people make mistakes,
grace to grass, yes,
right, and that's
absolutely
what people are. Is that they cannot find themselves getting up and doing something better. They rather just be homeless and run around shelters, and so I don't know.
It's like a trap.
Yeah,
it's a trap because once you're looking for an alibi, somebody to support your excuse, you can never become rich. Right? Just like I was sharing with my daughter, people are trapped. People think that this is where I am, this is where I will always be, I cannot be better. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once that's a prophecy, you tell yourself, everything around you will justify it. Because everything that around you have yes. Whatever you say, they are saying yes, amen. And they will bring it to pass. So people are trapped in the social system because once they start collecting social money, right, they're not paying tax, but as long as they are collecting socials, right? If they do any job at all, they get out of that bracket and get into a tax-paying bracket. And that reduces their income in their mind. So they rather would collect social and not do any job at all, so they won't pay tax. Because they cannot see beyond that. They see tax as a liability. So they are trapped in that social thing. They can't see beyond that. They can't see that they can make a whole lot such that when they pay tax, it will not affect their spending power. All they're after is tax is taking my money away. Let me do everything so that I won't pay tax. So they are trapped in that sector. Right? So for as long as you're looking at things from a negative standpoint, you can't grow. When I pay tax in the US, I know the tax laws enough that I get money from the IRS back, right? Because the tax laws are made to reward those who know the laws, right? So people that don't know the laws that complain about the rich people, oh, he doesn't pay tax, he makes so much money, he does that. I mean, that's ignorance. The tax laws allow all of that. The laws are set to encourage certain things. And if you do those things, you are rewarded for it. So it's not about complaining, it's about understanding. So ignorance is another reason why people are trapped in certain class. There are people that see they don't want to pay tax in Nigeria because, oh, there's a bad government, they don't use the money well. What can you do about that? Nothing. It is the law, so you pay your tax, obey the law. Then you see from a positive standpoint. Because as much as there's a bad government, I'm sitting down here right now is because there's a government, right? If there's no government, then there'll be no law. There'll be armed robbers breaking everywhere, right? I will not have somewhere that I have light. I will not have internet. Might not be the best, but we still need to be grateful for what we have, So the way to break through different glass ceiling is to throw away the negative and see things from a positive standpoint rather than being focused on the negative. Because once you're focused on the negative, it limits you. It limits your growth. And whatever you see is what you get. Right? If you see the system as bad, the system will be bad to you. If you see the system as good, the system will be good to you. The system is neither good nor bad. The system is to you as you see it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yeah. But I don't know if there's any hope for Nigeria though. But that's okay.
So let's the question is it Nigeria that I'm bothered about, or am I bothered about me as a person? See,
Well, I'm bothered about me, but you have family, right?
but is it so? The number one person I'm responsible for is me, Akin Akibodoshi, not my wife. My first responsibility is to me as a person. You get that? You understand that?
Right.
My first responsibility is to me as a person, not to my wife, not to my children. It's to me as a person. Because if me, I'm not okay, I cannot help any other person. Right? So it's not about Nigeria, right? Because I don't have control over Nigeria. So I cannot lose sleep over Nigeria. Nigeria has decided to vote 2 thieves, right? What can I do about it? Nothing. The only person that I'm responsible for is me. Even my wife, because she's an adult, I can only counsel her. She can take my counsel or not take my counsel. Right? But the number one person that I decide what class that person falls into is me. So irrespective of what Nigeria does or does not do, I am responsible to make sure that what I want still comes to pass. Right? Irrespective of what the exchange rate in Nigeria is, whether it's 1,000 naira to $1, right? I don't have control over that. But I have control over that. I can meet all my needs, all my expenditure needs, irrespective of what the exchange rate is. That is my own job. My job is not to be fighting anybody that keep the exchange rate down, keep the exchange this. That's not my job. I don't have control over that. What I have control over is, irrespective of what the exchange rate is, I must still be able to do the things I want to do and live the standard of living that I want. That is my responsibility. Do you understand? So Nigeria is not my problem. Me and my financial outlay is my responsibility. Yes, I pray for Nigeria. I pray for Nigerians. I pray for my family. I pray for my wife. I pray for my children. But you see, there's only so much I can do for them in determining their destiny. Right? The only person I have 100% responsibility for is myself. Did I answer you?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so that needs to be your focus. Because sometimes we miss it when we're too focused about other things that we don't have control over. But that's why we'll talk about locus of control. You have to look at your locus of control. What can I control? What can I not control? My energy needs to always be 80-20 at a minimum, focus on the 20% of the things I can control. Because that's what moves the lever of my life. All right. Toba, any question for you? Are we all together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So have you called Kevin for your book?
Oh, in fact, I just saw the number this afternoon. I was just leaving church.
But
I will call him.
Call him. All right. And we can work something out. All right, great. Chidi, anything to add?
I was about saying got to go somewhere, but I mean, yeah, it's all moving. You know, the point you made mention about taxes and all that. To be honest with you, when I see some guys, especially the guys in the US talking about paying tax and not paying tax and how, you know, Uncle Sam, I'm kind of, they should come to Nigeria and see what it means. You pay tax, you have, I mean, you have a sense of security, you have good road, you know, basic infrastructure and all that. And in Nigeria, shame upon all those guys. We pay, it's only you and I that pay taxes. The guys that claim to be rich in Nigeria, they don't pay any taxes. So for me, that's the annoying part. They don't pay taxes. I remember once when I bought land, I know how much that land cost. And I know that's just a piece of the man's business, and you can't believe the tax they paid him and the wife in a year was less than 10% of what the tax should have been from, So you know, CB.
Yeah.
That's what.
But the thing is that you can't control that. So you can't waste your energy on that. You have to put your energy on things you can move, not things you can't move. There's nothing you can do about that. So you can complain from now till the kingdom come. You don't have power over that situation. So I'd rather focus my energy on the things I can make a difference on. So I mean, energy is limited, so you need to conserve energy and make sure that you focus your energy on where it matters, not on things you can control, so you can get the maximum movement of the live of your life. All right. That's all I have for today, and just a presentation of society. We're going to talk a whole lot more, talk about tax as we look at society in the next 3 weeks. This year, just focusing on the fact that there are different class based on socioeconomic factors, and there's nothing stopping us from getting to number one. That's God's mind. God's mindset is that we'll be number one. Whether we get to number one or not, it's a function of ourselves. Whether we want it, don't want it, whether we're willing to pay the price or not, that's what determines where we are at the end of the day. I mean, where we start from doesn't matter. We all start from different places based on wherever. Where we end up is up to us. It's a function of what we did or did not do. So, and irrespective of where we find ourselves, we can do it. So, and now we'll talk a lot more about that in the next 3 weeks. Is that okay? Can I let you go?
Yes.
All right. God bless. Have a great one. See you next week.
Okay.
Have a great week. God bless.
God bless.
All right.